as I was saying before, a lot of times I've got the AMC A list, and I've seen all the big movies, and I'll notice sort of a smaller indie movie that maybe I hadn't heard of, and I'll just go check it out. And that's what happened with The Lesson. And The Lesson is a simple story of an author played by Richard E. Grant. His name is J.M. Sinclair. He's a very pretentious author, and the film opens with a quote, basically the quote being, which ends up becoming the theme of the movie, is that good writers borrow, great writers steal. So Richard E. Grant's character, Sinclair, is the patriarch of this family. He has a lovely wife. He has a young son named Bertie, and a character named Liam, played by Daryl McCormack. He is hired as a tutor for Bertie, who's trying to get into Oxford. And it is very important that he pass certain tests to be able to get into Oxford. It's very prestigious. He is J.M. Sinclair's son, and this is all very important. So Liam goes to this country mansion that's on a lake, and Liam stays in the guest house, and he's there for this extended period of time to make sure that Bertie gets into Oxford. Come to find out that Mr. Sinclair is trying to write a book. He's been trying to write a book, and he's had writer's block ever since the older brother of Bertie, Sinclair's son, passed away. He drowned in the lake. And since then, he's had writer's block. And Liam has been working on a novel his whole life, and Sinclair has his own novel, and they exchange novels to read. And Liam thinks, oh my God, this novel is amazing. And then Sinclair says to Liam, your novel's garbage. It's a piece of crap. It's amateur, awful. It's terrible. And that thus begins a rivalry between the young Liam and Sinclair, the older patriarch, played by Richard E. Grant. It's a slow burn thriller that by the end, I'm not going to tell you anything that happens in the second half of the film. It is fantastic. I was totally surprised by The Lesson. Like I saw it with a crowd, it was maybe half full, but the audience burst out in applause several times by the end of the film, or were like shocked by certain things that happen or certain lines. And it's like the movie is like reading a really good book where you cannot believe the events as they're unfolding, the twists and turns and the things that are revealed, and then where it all leads. And it all ties into great writers steal. This is so good for anyone that aspires to be a writer, who has been a writer, or someone who just appreciates great writing. This is also it's also kind of examination of the process, but not with any sort of heady detail. It's just sort of a thread underneath of what it takes to be a writer, and it's a lot of discipline. And it has such a great ending. I don't want to spoil anything about it except to say this movie gets a strong recommendation. It's an hour and 43 minutes. And it is in the realm of like a thriller or a mystery, but it's like a slow burn suspense thriller that I absolutely loved. Cannot recommend it enough. And it's under 2 hours, which to me already is like in the plus column. And also Richard E. Grant. The last time we saw Richard E. Grant in a film was in The Rise of Skywalker, where he was like Admiral something. I don't know. He was kind of wasted in that part. So it's so great to see Richard E. Grant, at the top, in top form. And Julie Delpy as the wife, Helene, is so fantastic. I mean, she's older and sexy as hell. I'm holding back telling you more about this film, except it just gets a strong recommendation from me. And it's the reason you go to see an indie movie, because I want to see great performances. I want to see things that I would not see in a big Hollywood movie. I don't need the big spectacle. Tell me a great story, and this film does it. So there you are.
I think we saw a different movie then.
Did you see The Lesson?
I did. I watched it last night.
How'd you see it, in theaters?
Yeah, in theaters. It's still in theaters.
You did not like it? You're an idiot.
No, look, I liked it, but not as much as you did. I think you are. I feel like you're digging very deep in this movie, extracting small nuggets and amplifying it. It was fine. It reminded me of Inside with Willem Dafoe, where it's just kind of this drawn out this 2-hour movie about an idea, about in the case of Inside, it's about art and being locked in the building and of an artist and the art that comes out of that. This one is the same thing where it's this idea, this theme of, great writers steal, and it just kind of draws upon that. I'm just not sure I found it as enlightening, as deep and profound that you did. It's a serviceable story. Well, it's an okay story. There's a thrill to it. It's like a murder mystery, but the victim is writing. The art is the victim. Can
I just say why I related to it?
Yeah.
I've written books. Okay. I've written books. That process is it's solitary. It's lonely. It's like frustrating. You're your own boss. You got to find yourself, you have to kind of find motivation to complete it. Sometimes you just sit there in front of a blank screen. So as someone who has written books, I really bonded with this film and identified with it. So what can I say?
Yeah. Well, as someone who's never written a book, but I've written papers. Okay. They're different.
Whatever. I'm just saying.
But I feel like you're seeing and feeling things that I cannot see and feel because I've not gone through that process. And I think that movie, I think you're getting things from that movie that aren't there or not seen by the average person like me.
All right, fine. But I like The Lesson. Let's go to the chat.
Yeah, but I will agree with you about Julie Delpy. There's some, not going to comment on this comment, but there's something to it.
Well, there's something. There is crunchy bush implied.
Yes.